こんにちは。私は黒田zuku desu. 着物を見る。僕は浴衣を買いました. In English this time, hello everybody, my name is Grotesque, and as you probably saw, yes, I am wearing a new piece of clothing today. I was talking about this in last night's video. I had ordered my first piece of Japanese clothing. I specifically ordered a yukata. I'll stand up in a minute so you guys can kind of see like what it looks like and everything, but yeah, I love this thing. It's very nice and lightweight. Originally, I was gonna get a full-on like kimono robe and everything like that, but considering the fact that I live in Florida and it gets really hot down here, I figured that wouldn't be the best idea. So I opted for a yukata, just so I can kind of stand up. Originally, I was going to get a medium, but I'm glad I went with a large, because this is a bit more flowy, and since I'm trying to not necessarily gain like a lot of weight, but since I'm just trying to get back to a healthy weight, and I also kind of want to get back in shape, this will kind of allow it to kind of just like, you know, me to sort of grow into it, whereas with a medium, it might have been a little bit smaller. So it's kind of going to be like an awkward angle. I guess I'll have to like maybe go back here. Can you guys see me okay? I know the lighting is a little iffy, but as you can see, you know, it's got some really nice designs on it. If I turn around, it's got a really cool design on the back. I really like this thing. Hopefully you guys were able to see that alright, and hopefully you didn't see my bum bum. But anyways, it's been a little while since I made a video like this, where me and you sit down and have a very long, verbose, and in-depth discussion about my video game collecting, I'd say hobby, but let's be honest, it's an addiction. Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where I do have more games on the way, but I don't know if they're necessarily gonna be here this month, and this is the pickups for... But I mean, this is basically everything that I've picked up since the last pickups video, so I can't really say this is all the pickups for just March. It's basically just been everything since October. But then again, I recorded that last video literally right at the end of October, so it's more or less everything since November, and unfortunately, I didn't get to buy as many games as I would have liked since then, and that's for a few reasons. One, I had Christmas to deal with. And then I had my younger brother's birthday to deal with. And then I had my other younger brother's birthday to deal with. And then I had my best friend from, you know, like back in middle school, I had his birthday to deal with. And then my stepdad's birthday. And then my mother's birthday. And then, I believe I even sent my grandmother something for her birthday, or maybe it was Christmas, one or the, there was a lot of money to spend on other things. But thankfully, since things are settling down, I'm starting to spend more money on myself again, as you can see. And like I mentioned, this isn't all the games that I bought, it's just that the other ones aren't going to be here for a bit yet, and I don't know when they're going to be here, so we'll just include those in the next pickups video. But anyway, before we get into this, don't think that any of this is like humble flexing by any means. I am not rich. Not even close to it. In fact, I'd consider myself to be not necessarily a broke boy, but I make enough to get by. You know what I mean? So this isn't me trying to do like a humble flex and be like, oh man, look at all this stuff I'm buying. This is just like, hey, I save up some money and I buy stuff when I can, and when I feel like it's like, hey, you know what? I got this money to spend. I've been working my damn ass off. It's time to treat myself. I don't buy myself stuff that often, but when I do, you know, it's kind of cool to show it off, just show y'all when I'm spending my money on the things that interest me. But anyway, we're long enough into this video. Let's start talking about some video games. I can't really go in order here, because I can't, well, I kind of know the order I bought these in, but barely. Anyway, first things first, we'll just go with, you know, just one of the obvious ones here, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I actually got the game originally digitally on Xbox, because, as I mentioned before, me and my stepdad are game shared, so then he gets access to Call of Duty, because that's literally the only game that we're game shared for, just so he can get Call of Duty as well. But I bought it originally over there, and then I bought it on PC so I can make content on it, and then I went to GameStop and I picked up a brand new copy with my $5 coupon, so instead of $69.99, it was only $64.99. Goes without saying, Black Ops 6 is a freaking awesome game, man. Multiplayer, zombies, campaign, knocking it out of the park. We're not even halfway through the year's content yet. Season 3 at the time of reloading, or at the time of me reloading this, at the time of me recording this is coming out in just like 6-7 days, something like that, so that's gonna be extremely hype. I'm so excited for that. I love how when you look at the back of it, 145 gigabytes minimum. Good lord, man, we have come a long way in video games. Back in the day, man, you could squeeze like mere megabytes on an NES cartridge, and now here we are, man, 145 gigabytes. That's like, hold on, let me math this thing out. Let's just say in theory, how much storage can an NES cartridge hold? Isn't it like 8 or 16 megabytes at most? Not even. NES cartridges typically hold between 128 kilobytes and 1 megabyte of data. Oh, okay, yeah, I was thinking of the Super Nintendo, because yeah, that's right, the Super Nintendo is the one that's like 8 to 12 megabytes. So let's just say in theory, NES cartridge is 1 megabyte. There's 1,024 gigabytes. We'll just say 1,000 for the sake of simplicity in a single gigabyte. So in 1 gigabyte, there would be 1,000 NES cartridges, which means times 145, we're looking at... Okay, hold on, give me a minute here. 1,000 times 145, that's what, 145,000 NES cartridges inside of a Black Ops 6. Like, that is insane. Anyway, on to the next game, and you guys are gonna see a bit of a pattern with the games that I purchased here, and it's not like I really care. Like, it's not a big deal, because at the end of the day, I just want to own these games. I don't care if I've already played them before, or like if there's another way to play them. I just want to actually own them in my collection, so I always have them. But in this case, it's Forspoken, and this game was literally added to PS Plus like not that long ago, but it is a situation where it was like, hey, you know what? In that case, since it's available to play that way, I could just keep the physical copy sealed. And this is a game where I feel like a lot of people were clowning on it at launch just for one reason or another. I've said it before, the internet's an echo chamber, you know, whether or not somebody actually agrees with the opinion that they're stating, people will just echo that opinion just because it's the popular opinion. So people clowned on Forspoken even if they didn't play it, and then some of the people that did play it were more likely than not just kind of hamming it up for views, because again, that's what a lot of people on the internet do. It's all about views, not about authenticity. But as somebody that did actually play the game, because I ended up playing it after it was added to, I believe it was PS Plus Extra that it was added to, I genuinely enjoyed my time with the game. And considering the fact that when I bought this, it was like $20, I want to say, and you could probably pick up a used copy for like 10 to 15 bucks. Yeah, it's definitely worth the price. And even then, if I would have spent full price on the game, I would have been more than satisfied with it. Like, it's a good game. It plays well. Granted, I don't know if there was like a lot of bugs at launch or anything like that. That is another aspect of it that I actually don't know. I just heard a lot about the woke nature of things, which honestly, I didn't really see any of that in the game. I don't know. And even if there was, it's not like it was enough to bother me, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was like shoving it down your throat or anything. And if I didn't even pick up on it, that says something, because I'm not the type of guy that necessarily has like a hatred for like woke media or anything like that, but I do have sensors for it, and I'm able to pick up on it pretty easily. But all in all, between the world, the combat, and especially like the way that you can explore the world with sort of like the magical parkour elements, whatever you want to call it, I had a lot of fun with it. I can definitely recommend it. Next up, we got The Grinch Christmas Adventures. Now, this was a game that was brand new from GameStop for like $10, so that's, I mean, that's like part of why I bought it. The other part, aw, I hear a loose disc. I'm gonna have to like set it back in there. You know how you have to kind of line it up, but I try to be careful when I do that because I don't want to like, you know, scratch the disc in the process. Dang it, man. Oh, look at that, 3 gigabytes minimum. That means that this one has only 3,000 NES cartridges, but anyway, you know, I've always loved The Grinch, and even though I didn't buy this during Christmas time, I didn't buy this until like January or February or something like that, because again, it was like $10 at GameStop brand new. It was just like, hey, you know what, it's 10 bucks, I'll throw it in the collection, and I look forward to playing through this one at some point. I watched the trailer for it, and it looked pretty cool. It's right up my alley. It's like it's not necessarily a 3D platformer, it's more like 2D, but it's like, it's a 2D game with like a 3D art style, so it looks pretty cool. I'm really excited to get to that one at some point. Next up is a game that, oh lordy, this cover art is beautiful. You got me feeling some kind of way. Suteki Gemu. And if you're wondering what I said, I just said that this is a lovely game for obvious reasons. No, I can hear the disc rattling around in here too, man. How does this keep happening? All the discs come loose at some point or another. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. As long as it's sealed, I'll be careful with it. Blu-rays are, what's the word? Just a bit resistant when it comes to scratches as is, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, this is a game from the 360 / PS3 generation. A beautiful game from that era that I have much love for, as you can probably tell. So that's why I pre-ordered it immediately when it went live on limited run, and surprisingly it only took 5 months to get to me, so that's something. I ordered it in July and it came in like December or something, so a little over 5 months, but unfortunately I didn't get to play the remake yet, but since I already have experience with the original, it's just one of those things where I'll get to it when I get to it. But they do have the new repop mode in this game, which does kind of switch things up. I forget what all is different about it exactly compared to the normal original mode, so when I play the game again, I'm probably going to go through in the original mode and then go through it again on the repop mode, just kind of get a refresher on the original experience, then play the repop mode and unlock all the new costumes and such, and man, what a beautiful cover art. Next up, we got Saints Row, yet another game. Oh, I'm sorry, Saints Row, I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, this is another game that was added to PS Plus a little while ago, but I played it way before that. I played it on Xbox back in 2022, that's when it released, right? 2022? Yeah, so I played it over there on the Xbox One X, and I had a lot of fun with the game. It's another game where I saw I was getting a lot of hate online, and I didn't even realize I was getting hate online until after I beat the game and just kind of looked stuff up about it afterwards, and I was like, people are just never happy about anything, right? You know what I mean? So I can understand kind of some of the, what do you want to call it, some of the controversy about the new characters, because they are going for something way different compared to, you know, the original Saints Row games, especially like the first two, because I mean, after the first two, there's obviously another conversation to be had about how things just kind of went off the rails after that point. Saints Row 3 was a bit more fantastical, you know, you still had some of those classic Saints Row gang type elements in there, but it was definitely getting a bit more fantastical, a bit more cinematic, a bit more goofy. You had things like you know what I'm talking about, that bad. And things just started to get a little more crazy with like the zombie island and all that. And then once we got to Saints Row 4, just completely off the rails, superpowers, you're like the president of the United States. But honestly, I love and adore Saints Row 4. That's one of my favorite Saints Row games out of the entire franchise. I'm shooting people with the dubstep gun as well. That thing was so much fun, man. And then Gat Out of Hell released a bit after that, and yeah, you know, that original run of Saints Row games, it's just really interesting to look at the progression of everything. And then this looked to be a bit of a soft reboot of sorts, you know. It's the entire crew is just a bunch of college kids just trying to make money. Unfortunately, this was one that I ordered from GameStop, because usually when I get games from GameStop, I kind of like to see it in person before I buy it, but this one was one that I ordered since I haven't really been able to go out lately, just because my physical health is a little whatever. And yeah, there's like a little nick in the case there, so yeah, it's a little unfortunate. That'll definitely be a case swap at some point, because the cover art is completely fine. It's just, yeah, it's just that bit of the case there. It's a little whatever, so I'll swap that out at some point. But otherwise, that's a game that I've always thoroughly enjoyed and felt like got a lot more hate than it actually deserved. While sure, the characters aren't on the same level like Johnny Gat or any of the other folks from the original Saints Row gang, I mean, you know, it's a nice new spin on the formula, and even though I'm sure we're not going to get another Saints Row now, and if we do, it probably wouldn't be for many years, I would still like to see what direction they take things in next, where they take the story next, and just, you know, what they try to do after this entry. Next up, we have Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, yet another game that was added to PS Plus, so I ended up just getting it that way. But another situation, yet again, where I can say that this is another one that definitely got way more hate than it deserved. Now I will say this, I would have preferred if the game would have just been a single player, designed with single player in mind, not a live service. Just that from the very beginning. I also would have preferred if the game would have launched with an online mode, but no. Instead, they launched the offline mode later, after the fact, via an update. So one day, the discs will actually be coasters unless you install the update beforehand, or unless they do another reprint that includes that patch on disc, so that kind of annoys me a little bit from a preservation standpoint, because that's a huge reason as to why I collect physical media, not only for the ownership aspect, but also for the preservation aspect. That being said, outside of the way that the game was handled in terms of live services and offline patches and all that, especially with all the content that's been added after the fact via the 5, I believe it was 4 seasons, the last one, bringing Deathstroke to the game. It's a fun ride through and through. Again though, because it was developed with the live service in mind, there was a few things like the ending is kind of an ending to the story, but it's kind of more like an introduction to the end game into the live service aspect. You know, like, if you played a live service game with a story before, you know exactly what I mean. Like, I don't want to spoil anything just in case somebody hasn't played it before, but it's like, okay, it's the ending and it wraps up the story, but it's also kind of like, oh, wait a minute, there's still all this live service stuff here to do, so let's kind of, you know, funnel the players into that. So there's that aspect of it. But otherwise, all in all, it is still a fun game. And since the offline patch does exist, that means that technically speaking, this game will be able to exist even beyond the expiration date of the servers. That being said, in terms of the actual discs themselves, that's, I'm hoping they do a reprint at some point that actually includes that update on disc, but we'll see if that actually ever ends up happening. That being said, when it comes to the moment-to-moment gameplay, the gameplay loop, the stimulating aspects, you know, when you're in the combat, you see all the explosions and damage numbers flying, you know, it gets your dopamine sensors going. It is pretty satisfying in that aspect. And when it comes to like the cutscenes and everything like that and the flow of the story, it's an enjoyable experience front to back. Hold on, there's something that I just noticed about PS5 cases that I'll bring up in a minute, but I'll wrap up my thoughts on Suicide Squad first. So, you know, it's an enjoyable experience from front to back, so I definitely recommend it, especially if you got it for free with PS Plus, you might as well give it a shot. It was literally free. But I've been waiting for a Suicide Squad game for so long, you know, ever since I played the Batman Arkham games back in the day. I always thought, like, man, what if we got a game like this, but you were able to play as the villains. And then when the Suicide Squad movie came out in like 2016, you know, I absolutely fell in love with that movie, and I was like, yes, I want a video game version of this. And while this isn't exactly like, you know, Batman Arkham, but it's Suicide Squad, it's still just really cool being able to play these as these villains. But anyway, something I just noticed about PS5 cases, and I might be yeah, no, I am not crazy. It seems like certain PS5 cases, and I can't believe I just noticed this, have longer white spines at the top. Am I crazy, or is this actually a thing? Okay, so I'm just gonna show you guys a few examples here. Like, for example, if you look at Lollipop Chainsaw and The Grinch compared to Forspoken and Black Ops 6, you can see how the white part here goes down farther ever so slightly on these two games compared to the other two. Is there like different kinds of printing or sizes for like, I'm really confused as to how that happened. I never noticed that before. Yeah, no, you can't make this up. That is definitely a thing. It seems like they're all different sizes. Oh, wow, that's weird. But then we got one more game here, that being Rune Factory 5 for the Switch. This literally just came in the mail yesterday because it was like $15 on Woot. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead and pick this up. I loved the Rune Factory 4 and the 3DS, as well as the first 3 Rune Factory games on the original DS. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and pick up 5 on the Switch because this one is a lot different compared to the other ones, because the other ones, even though they had like a 3D art style, it was more like, you know, like isometric, kind of like a bird's eye view sort of, but this one is actually like all 3D, so I'm really excited to dive into that and sort of see how that plays compared to traditional Rune Factory games, which more kind of had the Harvest Moon feeling to it, at least in terms of the camera perspective and such, which kind of makes sense when you consider that Rune Factory of Fantasy Harvest Moon was literally a part of the title. But anyways, yeah, that is my gaming pickups for the month of March, but really everything since October. So now that I'm getting back in the swing of things, and now that all the holidays and birthdays are over for a little while, I'll be able to, you know, actually buy some more video games again. So hopefully we can do these videos a bit more frequently. Hopefully we can do one again in say like a month or two's time. We'll just see how things go. But anyway, as always, massive shout out, thank you to all the Patrons and channel members, thank you to all the low ball tier, and a big shout out to the big ball tier, the last king, and me dad Manny, and the biggest shout out to all JT, run of us on the choose scroll. Thank you guys so much, you guys are little legends. I love you. Have an amazing day, stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.